Hey.
Looks like I got this on. Do. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Bullsmack. It looks like I have overcome my ripped gloves, problems I had from previous episode. Please, validate me. Anyway, welcome to the Bullsmack, everybody. On today's show, we rate and review Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Is it good? Is it fun? Who was it made for? You'll find out today as we rank and review the last installment of the Star Wars saga, alongside the new Netflix live-action adaptation of The Witcher. And then, as always, we'll take a look to see what everybody's mad at today in The Matrix before we shrug, turn around, go back to living our real fucking lives. So, tune up the band, cue that beat. Welcome to the Bullsmack, everybody. What do we got? First up, arriving with all the thunder and roar not seen since the premiere of Richard Jewell. It's Rise of Skywalker. Do we hate it? Do we love it? Do we care? No, from us here at the Bullsmack. So let's go ahead and light up 3 Bullsmack bulbs out of 5 for the final installment of the Star Wars saga. Much like our review of The Last Jedi, we just have to admit, is it a good film? On its own, is it a good film? The answer is yes. It's action-packed, it keeps the momentum moving fast enough so the audience doesn't realize that these individual entertaining scenes don't make sense as a whole. The effects are amazeballs, the humor gives us consistent chuckles, and the nostalgic score and returning cast members add the requisite amount of fan service. But, we said it's a good action film, but is it a good Star Wars film? The answer is, yet again, no. Fuck no. We're bored. We're bored, JJ. We're bored out of our minds. We just want to go back to Rogue One and start the last trilogy from here. This shit is Twilight. We want to binge watch The Mandalorian instead of wasting $60 on a night out this close to Christmas. We can't justify it. You can get 2 bootleg Baby Yoda toys for $60. The same amount of money it's going to cost you to go see The Rise of Skywalker. You can have 2 bootleg Baby Yodas. Priorities, man. Priorities. How can you justify seeing The Rise of Skywalker this close to Christmas? That is, of course, unless you bought your tickets 6 months ago. In that case, everything's cool, baby. Everything's cool. So, anyway, fuck spoilers. We're not even going to comment on the story because this movie doesn't even have one until the hour and 20-minute mark. Before then, all those action-packed, entertaining moments are linked together with the chase for a useless MacGuffin thingamajig. That's right, it's treated with the same amount of respect as Luke Skywalker's lightsaber was in The Last Jedi. In fact, this movie gets most of its best moments unraveling the useless directions that the previous installment took us on. It is the Jurassic Park 3 of Star Wars films. You know, you love it because it's Alan Grant. There's dinosaurs making noise. But before you get to the ending, you're going to realize that you've seen all these scenes before in the franchise, only done better. Even the finale of Rise of Skywalker has been done before. These are villains that have been beaten before in the series. Why are we beating them again? It's like, let's bring back Darth Maul, just kill him off again. Like, okay. If this is considered a rise, then I gotta tell you, Star Wars, you're in desperate need of an erection pill if you plan on continuing to fuck this bitch. Yes, now that the saga is finally over, fans can look back in retrospect and realize that this saga didn't know what in the blue fuck dandelion Jesus it was doing until the hour and 20-minute mark of the 3rd film. You only get 3 films in a trilogy to tell a story arc. This is how trilogies work, Kathleen. And when you waste the first 2 films alternating between nostalgic trips and pissing off the core fanbase that made this fucking thing successful in the first place, that only leaves 1 film to tell the goddamn story. So thankfully, the story finally arrives with 40 minutes of running time left in a 9-part saga. Man. But It's Star Wars, and since I'm not a complete prick who blindly hates everything, and I can easily admit when I've been entertained and when I've enjoyed myself, once again we're going to give 3 out of 5 Bullsmack bulbs for The Rise of Skywalker. Next up on the Bullsmack review, we have The Witcher. The beloved novel and video game series has made the leap to a live-action adaptation bankrolled by the seemingly bottomless pockets of Netflix. That's right, every dollar is on that screen as sets, costumes, and effects bring Geralt the Monster Slayer to life in a way that would make Van Helsing jealous. As some media watchers may already know, The Witcher has had a tumultuous journey amongst all stages of production, as fans and creators alike have all chimed in on every piece of information released on the big-name draw all the way up to its late December release. It's been relentless. All you hear is blah, 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 Witcher, blah, 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 blah. Fans, it's okay. Everything's all right, folks. Everything's all right. All right, so let's piss off some bitchier, more picky people by lighting up 4 out of 5 Bullsmack bulbs for The Witcher. What more could you have wanted out of a television series? It's well cast, with all the principal characters being portrayed by talented actors fitting all the looks of their previous counterparts. Everybody's worried about what Yennefer's gonna look like, and what Ciri's gonna look like. And guess what? It's all cool, baby. They did well. Everybody is well cast. They're good actors. Everything is done fine. You can calm down and enjoy something for once. I mean, that was something that fans bitched about, and that was something fans received. In a world of fantasy that recently lost the spark of Game of Thrones, it's great to see gory swords and candlelit boobs back in all their glory and glowing splendor. Who doesn't like gore and boobs? Spartacus, Game of Thrones, The Witcher. It's fantastic. You get all this action-packed drama, and every now and again, if you're alone, you get to jerk off a little bit. But besides jerking off to beautiful people, like, what's the biggest draw of the show? That is Henry Cavill, perfectly cast as Geralt the Witcher, a mutant outcast navigating the dark and light corners of the feuding kingdoms as he episodically collects his bounties and becomes part of the mounting conspiracy of the land. Now that it's out and everybody can see that our favorite nerd Henry Cavill has clearly kept his promises to gatekeep the franchise, why are so many fans quick to hate it? Because they wanted to, alright? Why is that still a surprise? It's like people will hate this thing simply because it's on Netflix and wasn't directed by Peter Jackson. And just like the recent Hobbit films, I think people were quick with their prejudgment, like the haters. I think the haters think their prejudgment was correct based on the visual aesthetic of The Witcher. Ultimately, like, you take one glance at this, and I mean, if you already had a preconceived notion that you were going to go into this hating it, the first time you take a look at it, it's just in this crisp, full HD, and you can see everything. There's no shadows, there's no grit, there's no depth of field. It's just, you can see everything. You can see every crack, every pore, every rock, every pebble. There isn't a single speck of grit or lowlight. And it takes an hour or two just to get over the fact that it all looks like it was completely shot on an iPhone 11. Tell me that's not true. If you watch this series and you love this series, tell me that it doesn't look like it was shot on an iPhone 11. It's too pretty. Just like The Hobbit's 4K 60 frames per second when it first hit IMAX, you'll have to adjust your eyes and get over being spoiled by this fancy technology. But once you do so, and you sit down into the story, you will be rewarded with powerful storytelling, effectively told, and a career-defining performance by Henry Cavill. Many people are going to argue that this is more iconic and faithful to its source material than his portrayal of Clark Kent and Superman. This role is his now. It's totally his. I can't see it going back. It's like Ron Perlman as Hellboy. It's hard to imagine any other voice in that role now that Cavill is the living embodiment of Geralt. So don't be surprised if and when more games are made or animated films hit the scene. Like, I would expect Henry to get the call from the casting agents before anybody else. Henry Cavill's just standing up right now, waving the role of Geralt around in the faces of previous portrayers. Like, this is my role now. This is totally mine. So, 4 out of 5 bulbs for The Witcher. Just give it a try, you stinky McNuggets. And now, that glorious moment is upon us, Bullsmackers, where we fill out our program today with our segment, What's Everybody Mad At Today? What's everybody mad at? Everybody is mad at J.K. Rowling. That's right, the lovingly liberal Harry Potter scribe has been targeted for cancellation by her own base for being a strong woman who supports and stands up for the hard-earned rights of biological women. Who knew? Going into 2020, J.K. Rowling was immediately pounced upon by the virtue-signaling fascists of Twitter the moment she offered her support for one Maya Forstater, a prominent researcher who just lost her job at a think tank for stating that trans women can't change their biological sex. In the words of Tom MacDonald, honesty's gonna be illegal. But you don't want to piss off the Rainbow Army on Twitter, as their stranglehold on cancel culture uses it as a base of operations. And yet, that is exactly what JK did by throwing her hat into the ring of the mounting and inevitable ideological war being fought between feminists and male-to-female transgenders. And I'm already bored. Let's put up 1 out of 5 Bullsmack bulbs for trans versus feminists. First thing, I gotta point out that I am not the target demographic of this clusterfuck of a failed narrative. My demographic is not allowed to have opinions on abortion, race, economics, morals, or religion, so why the fuck would anybody expect me to give a fuck about all of this? All of this current nonsense is all feminists doing in the first place. From putting girls in the Boy Scouts, then immediately contradicting their confusing goal by segregating them all based on biological sex, to slamming puberty blockers into prepubescent boys to end the patriarchy. I could give a fuck that they are now eating each other alive. Yes, in their quest to destroy masculinity, modern-day feminism has only succeeded in erasing its own femininity, while absolutely failing to define it in every single way possible. What is a woman, I ask you? Meanwhile, as feminists begin to direct their usual sexist vitriol at trans women, masculinity is given a brief sigh of relief. So, if you have a fence to fix or an engine block to repair, feel free to put your earbuds back in and continue to work in peace now that the women are done squawking at us from their soapboxes for a moment. Anyway, woe is the woman who must oppressively traverse this problematic and evil gender-normative world. But alas, it is a woman's battle to fight, as all the white knights currently begging at your braless tits are held back by the internal conflict created inside when they pledge their pathetic penises to a community of rabid and sexually confused people who want those dicks just so they can rip them off and throw them bloody against a wall. That's right, male feminists may love all women, but they'd never piss off all the LG-UHD TVs that allowed them the pleasure of calling all real men phobes every 2 seconds for the last decade, as if real men gave a fuck about any of that shit. But you may ask, how does one spot a real man? Well, real men don't get offended by or use the term real men, trans or otherwise. I have never been approached in real life by anyone calling themselves a man, telling me that I was less of a man than they are. And vice versa. I haven't gone up to any other man in my existence and said, I'm more of a man than you. It's not something we talk about. And I think this is because men, trans or otherwise, recognize that talking and complaining about one another's junk is straight up woman shit. Acting like a woman isn't a good way of getting accepted as a man. Like, who knew? You know who knows? Fellas. The fellas know. Have you ever seen a group of men surround another man in a nightclub bathroom, fascinated by their penis implant and fake nuts? Like, can I feel your junk? Oh my god, it feels so real. I wish my nuts were as perky and firm as yours. Like, who's your surgeon? Like, hey, Dwayne, get over here. Get over here, man, and feel this amazing set of cotton balls. You don't mind, do you? It's just us boys here. And Dwayne, go ahead and... Oh my god. It's not happening. It's not happening. This, and real men aren't afraid of transgenders. I am not intimidated when trans men try to piss in the urinal next to me. I don't care if trans men try to compete in men's sports. I don't care if trans men see me naked at the Y. It doesn't affect me. So, to combat the feminists, let's take a moment to congratulate women on all their recent accomplishments. First, the Bullsmack wishes to commend international women's weightlifting champion Laurel Hubbard, women's world cycling champion Rachel McKinnon, girls state wrestling champion Mac Beggs, women's state track champion Terry Miller, national women's title winner Cece Telfirm, and of course, outside of the world of sports, we congratulate Karen Uhlenbeck for being the first woman ever to win the Abel Prize for mathematics. It has been an absolutely fantastic year for women. They're just breaking records and setting firsts all over the world. I'm not even gonna lie, like, I like trans women competing in fields previously dominated by biological women. I'm not gonna lie about that. The gameplay is getting faster, it's more intense, and every time trans women are allowed to compete, my pro-line bets have a 120% probability of paying out. However, at this point, I'm going to reserve judgment because I wouldn't be surprised if all of this was a hoax put together by 4chan and far-right incel members. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. If they can make stupid people think the circle game is a white power symbol, then they can easily convince people of this. It's like, I'm just glad to be alive heading into 2020 as modern feminism completely implodes, despite my constant warnings that playing identity politics would lead to this outcome. And since I love being proven right, let's do a Bullsmack flashback. You know, no matter what ideology you are, if you're right, left, middle, center, whatever the fuck you identify as, this is the truth, is that we are all different, and we all want different things. Sooner or later, you're going to come across a situation that you don't like, despite your ideology. And then what happens to you? You're either going to be a target of your former allies, or you're going to backtrack to change your own individualism. You're going to change your own opinion, and you're going to ignore your own differences so you can appease the people that are vilifying you. So, basically, feminism has shot itself in the foot once more. Sexist and intolerant ideologies continue to be incapable of self-awareness, and the virtue-signaling stupid people, without the gifts of common sense, critical thinking, or common courtesy, continue to contradict themselves. And all this, once again, originated from Twitter. Last time we had Greta got in trouble for saying something on Twitter, and now J.K. Rowling is in trouble because of something she said on Twitter. Honestly, I love how some people full-heartedly believe that a downloadable app is the center of the universe. Like, when my banking app is opened, and I see something I don't agree with, or I see something that makes me upset, I do what everybody on the face of this earth does with downloadable apps. I log out. Once again, 1 out of 5 Bullsmack bulbs for the trans versus feminists. It's completely devoid of any semblance of reality-based human interaction, and while I love a good romantic comedy or chick flick like any other man comfortable in their own skin, I am not interested in overly dramatic catty mind games. That's woman shit, yo. So, pop those earbuds back in, boys. We're free and clear until trans men are denied abortions by those bigots who actually need and require a pap smear. I'm sure we'll all get dragged into that one, but only if bitchy women need the numbers to push back against beliefs they created and don't know how to stop. Only then will men finally be allowed and expected to give a fuck, and we'll look back and whisper, no. that will be the Bullsmack for today, folks. We thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, if you would like us to cover a current event or another form of entertainment, feel free to join the Bullsmack Facebook page. Everybody without fear is welcome to post, prevalentmind@gmail.com. Feel free to email us or donate. Sticking $1 in our G-strings is the most surefire way of getting your genie lamp rubbed. So, on behalf of myself and our contributors, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, or both if you're enjoying our content. And finally, dicks, tits, and everything in between, we thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bullsmack, and we will see you next time.